Hey guys, I wanted to show you Temple with a cannula versus a needle. Everyone kept asking, so I already have a couple of videos, but I'm showing you guys. So I'm marking my borders. So the first border you're going to mark is the temporal fusion line. So that's why I have her mouth open. Second one I mark is the orbital rim. And then the next thing I do is I'm talking. So that's why my fingers are like going crazy. Then the next thing I do is palpate out the superficial temporal artery. This is really important because, yes, everyone's like, well, if you're using a cannula, who cares? I still want to know where my anatomical landmarks are. I still want to know where my artery is. You can still take a cannula and push too much product and compress an artery. So you have to be really careful with that. So best positioning is basically to have them open their mouth and then have them clench their jaw. That contracts the temporalis muscle. If you have a hard time palpating and feeling, sometimes people have a really thin branch, or they're like, for this patient, her superficial temporal artery was all the way in her hairline. So I just had her open and close and kind of clench their teeth, and then that gets that artery to kind of pop out. You know, just like when you're bulging your muscles, like your biceps, that's what happens to your arteries and veins, like they bulge out, right? So then I mark the artery, and so I know, and I keep that on there. So I know exactly where I'm going. Then I'm talking about where my insertion point is. So my insertion point is literally lateral zygoma. And then that's where, like, instead of going with filler there, I mean, you can, but you would use your 2% with lidocaine. So the 2% with lidocaine is where I'm going to put in, my little insertion point there. And then hopefully the rest of this makes sense. So I'm drawing her borders. So I found her superficial temporal artery. I'm feeling and finding the temporal fusion line. This is also where I start my brow lift. I'm marking out her orbital rim, taking that little white marker pen coming all the way down. And then I'm doing her basically lateral zygoma. So that's the fossa. That's the temporal fossa. So that's where I'm aiming at with the cannula. That's her artery. So I'm still so far from the area. So usually people do for one up, one over a triangle. So one up, one over here. One up, one over, maybe posterior. One up, one over, maybe a little bit more interior.
Okay.
If you want to do it. So with one up, one over, it's basically one up from the orbital rim and then one over from the temporal fusion line. That's the Arthur Swift way with needle.
Okay.
So for her, you always like temporal fusion line. This is her frontal and this is her parietal. So it works really well going right on that frontal.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So then, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Your little vibrator. I love my little thingy. And then I just follow lateral zygoma. And then I kind of measure out here. So I'm like, oh, perfect. Yes. Forehead. My insertion would be here. Makes sense. Yeah. Use your cannula to measure where your insertion point can go. Literally take your cannula and put it on the skin to see where you can go. And that's where I'm going to leave my 5 units of 2% Lido with Epi. Not bad, right? So I like to kind of tilt their head this way. It's a little bit easier for me to see. And then I basically just am going in the area of Blanche. You can see because she's so... And then I'll just hold it like a dart and get really close. And this one's nice because it's so stiff. Pressure. This area's hard to pinch a little bit and the fascia's tight. So you can swirl it like that. And then see, I'm going to lay it flush on the skin. And then I take my non-dominant here, my non-injecting hand, and I hold here. And I slowly just inch it up. And then there's a retaining ligament here, so I'm going to just come up underneath. Sorry, open your mouth slightly. I relax them. There we go. You okay? This one's a little ouchy. Sorry. And when I hit resistance,
feel it.
good. when I hit resistance, instead of keep going this way, I'm just gonna kind of twist back and forth.
Okay.
Twist, 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 twist. Now I'm here. And then feel how superficial I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh damn, that's weird.
So feel.
Okay.
That's exactly where I want to be. Good. And then just to be extra crazy, we'll just aspirate. She's really good skin. So when it's someone older, it will not look like this. You'll see the cannula, and that's okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And that's when you can use a Volbella or Ultra Plus.
Okay.
Yeah. Something thinner. Versa. Love Versa. And then I'd like to just protect the orbital rim here. I'll come this way. It's all in your threads. And it comes out like butter.
More butter, more better.
I love Versa. This goes in so easily. I don't know. And then I keep my finger when I'm going to posterior. Then I'll take my finger and I'll lay it on my temporal fusion or my temporal artery. So I feel it here. So make sure I'm not hitting it. I mean, technically you'd push it out of the way. I'm just being extra cautious.
So for her, since she doesn't need much, how much are you?
0.4.
0.4.
You might use a whole syringe on someone.
Yeah.
And when I'm done here, I'll just take my thumb and smooth it up. Smooth it up. How do you feel?
I'm kind of like falling asleep.
Good.
Is that weird? I don't know why.
That looks so good.
I know, right?
Temples are such a game changer.
They really are. And they don't like excite me, so I find myself like, not shying away from them, but I'm like, oh, okay. But when I do it, I'm like, oh, she needed that.
Yeah.
So I have to just like kind of push myself. I think cheeks and lips are so much more fun.
Because they're so, yeah, I get
The
it.
temples are the best. And then I'll show you one up, one over.
Okay.
This thing is like so silky, it keeps falling off.
I know.
My $8
The
is
temples is so much easier. I think the hardest thing is cheeks, to be honest. Cheeks are like so technically.
Well, it's the asymmetry and creating that symmetry back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, mama like that.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, and you have big hands. Are you able to aspirate with one hand?
Mm-hmm.
So always try to aspirate with one hand
Yeah.
on temples, because this is my secret. Put your head back for this. Is I always keep my finger on the temporal or the temporal artery,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel it pulsating, so I know exactly where I am, and then I lay my thumb here for support,
Mm-hmm.
and then open your mouth.
All the way?
Yep. So then I go one up, one over, and then I go straight down to bone. So now I'm on bone here, and I keep my finger down, so then I aspirate back, and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I slowly push it, watching skin the entire time. All of it. I come out. And I do the same thing. I don't want to push it right back on the artery, but I kind of push it up towards the forehead. Just
I
because most of the people most